So what is it about you that people gravitate towards? That's really important for you to think about. Where is your specific strength? So I want to talk about the whys and hows of personal branding, right? Like, why are you here? What can it do for you? And what has it done for me and my clients, okay? So personal branding, what is it, first and foremost, right? So my background, just so you know, I mean, Mary did an awesome job at the last minute, thank you. But I've been in the world of branding, like literally since Madison Avenue, the advertising days. And branding back then was all about branding a company, right? So that's traditional branding. And some of you guys are in school. You probably know what branding and advertising is, right, I hope. And so now the importance of personal branding, so driving a monetary value around you yourself as an entity, as a brand, is of the utmost importance for everyone in this room. So no matter if you're a student at school, like at Berkeley, thank you for coming, or you are a speaker like Sonia in the back or Sue in the front, or you are an entrepreneur that's trying to build a business, and you know, it's so cluttered out there, or you're an executive, of which generally are my clients that are looking to secretly make a transition to another company or another role. It's really important that you build a strong personal brand that's infallible. So it's very strong and it has armor around it, right? So developing this brand requires a lot of hard work. I mean, this conference to me should be your first start. And this conference to me should be where you're thinking, all right, I want to take action with my personal brand, okay? So it requires, first and foremost, the development of the brand. So who are you, right? What do you stand for? Jason Rice is next, and he's going to talk about the importance of community giving. If any of you guys did the raffle, it's all about how do I give back once I'm a leader. But to get there, you need to build a brand, and you need to use proper tools, both internet tools as well as offline tools like we're doing today, networking, to build a brand so you become a resource. So this is really a critical function for anybody in this room. Raise your hand that's serious about your career. Who's serious about their career? Awesome. So personal branding and social media, what is it all about, right? So today's topic is really around social branding. Okay, so what does it mean to be the social brand? It doesn't just mean that you're out there chattering, right? More importantly, what it means is you become a resource to those around you. In my world, we call that the hub of a social ecosystem, where you have spokes around you that look to you to be a resource. So for example, Rob, who I know very well, so maybe somebody's looking to go to school or wants to find out about another business program, right? Rob should be putting out good content around Berkeley and what does it mean and how can students take advantage of that, just as an example, right? So that's something he can do as a social brand that supports his specific business and where he's going. You need to remain authentic. This is truly important. So before I came out here, Alyssa and I grabbed a selfie, and I grabbed her and gave her a hug. That's me. I'm not just going to stand there. You have to be yourself. So who are you? Because there's so much chatter on the web and in social media today, right? That the feeds just get blurry, right? And they get really blurry. Nobody really looks. So how do you stand out? You need to be authentic. So what is it about you that people gravitate towards? That's really important for you to think about. Where is your specific strength? Okay, so that's important. Deliver education and value. If you want to be a leader, and you want to be a social brand or a personal brand, you need to deliver education and value, like my friend Ramon in the back. He's awesome. And we spoke at several conferences together, and he runs conferences, right? So what is he doing, right? He's sticking to his brand promise. He says, I'm going to educate small business owners, okay? So he does that consistently. I say, I'm going to focus on helping individuals get out there and build their brands. I focus on that. So what are you going to do to deliver education and value to your audience, right? They support their social networks. This is really, really important. So everybody has at least one connection, maybe hundreds, maybe thousands, maybe millions, right? So what are you doing to nurture those networks? Do you guys share their content? Do you like their content? Do you actually take the time to read beyond the headline? It's ridiculous. I know Peter Shankman's going to talk about this today. The little things that you can do to be the best, and he's going to talk about customer service. But what I'm talking about today is how you can actually nurture your network. It's really not that hard. For myself, since 2004, I've made it like a mandate on my calendar every single week, because my background is in running sales, right? But every week I say, I'm going to do one phone call with a LinkedIn connection that I have. Just one, you know? And what does that do? That helps me build my business outside of New York, as an example. So there's so much that you can do. You've got to remain consistent, okay? So if you say, like for example, if Alyssa, who's doing photography today, she says, I'm a personal brand photographer. Okay, so she does personal brand photography, then all of a sudden, I see her photography being more like, let's say, just going in a completely different direction from the personal brand photography. I'm gonna think, is that really what she's focused on? But I can take a look at her portfolio and her work to say, yes, this is what she does. So she is consistent with her brand, everything that she does, right? Nurture and manage your ecosystem, I talked about that. That's truly important. Every day you gotta wake up and you gotta say, if you wanna be a social brand, okay? You gotta say, what am I doing today to nurture and manage my ecosystem? Who's new in my network? Like today, hopefully, I got some awesome cookies outside, which I'm excited about. So I love cookies. So when you guys are eating cookies, you guys are talking, you're networking, what are you gonna do next, right? Are you gonna connect with that person online or are you gonna do something about it? Always think, what can I do to nurture the person that I just met, right? That's important. And then commit to owning your brand style. So style we're going to talk about in a second, but your style, not just how you look, but how you speak. I talk fast, and that's how I am, right? I'm a fast person, right? So what is your style and what's unique about you? These things are important. Examples of social branding leaders that I think are great. These are just a few examples. You know these people, I hope. Richard Branson, right? Jeff Weiner, and obviously Bill Gates, my favorite, right? What do they do, right? All those things I just went through on that slide, they do. Am I wrong? They are consistent. You know their image. They educate. They lead. They're authentic. Period. Social branding for the job seeker. So, as I mentioned up front, social branding can support anybody in this room. I don't care who you are. These awesome people right here doing the video, right? Can support them. The students, Jason at JDRF, Sue Phillips, anybody in this room. Why? So let's start with the job seeker, right? So whether you are transitioning to a new role, maybe you're in school, really doesn't matter, but you know, your potential employer is going to do what? They're going to look you up, right? Now I know, unfortunately, I know this all too well. In the last 6 months, more and more people have been coming to me that are really smart people that have lost their jobs. And they contact me because I have a big network. It doesn't mean I'm a recruiter or anything. But they're like, oh, I lost my job. What do I do? What do I tell them? The first thing you gotta do is you gotta have a solid LinkedIn profile. Then you need to define who it is you wanna work for. And you need to build a personal brand that's gonna support what's on your resume. These are like basic things. And you know what? You need to have that as a basic thing. And then your next step is to get out there, right? Get out there meaning connecting with your potential hiring manager. And saying, hey, look at me. Okay, well, now I'm gonna go to your LinkedIn profile, your Facebook profile, whatever, and I'm gonna see this person is consistent. Yes, they have extracurricular activities. Yes, they have good college education. Yes, they have a good resume that's consistent, right? So one of my books I'm giving away for any of the students in the room, obviously. You can go to my website and get my LinkedIn book, but basically the point is the job seeker, social branding is really important because this is like the first start of personal branding. Is for you to start to develop yourself in your career. Now the entrepreneur, most of the folks in this room are also entrepreneurs, like myself. I don't know why, it's telling you it's hard work. But anyway, so an entrepreneur, right? So a strong entrepreneurial brand is so, so important. So a lot of people look at people that have made it, and they say, oh, you know, they just must have luck, they just made it, but that is not the case. Being an entrepreneur really is about, like Danica Patrick, who I met last week at Entrepreneur Live. I was very lucky to meet her. But she's a good, there's so many examples of entrepreneurs who started young, right? And they started with an idea of where they wanted to go. And then whether they knew it or not, they actually built their brand around their focus and their goals. So it doesn't matter if you're 19 years old or you're 100 years old, you can always start to build your brand. You can always get out there and have a brand that really supports you as a unique individual, right? So it's about, as an entrepreneur especially, credibility, right? So if you say, I want to build the next widget or car or whatever you want to do, right? So what is it that you're doing that ties in, it's not just the product, but it's the intangible personal brand behind the product that many times people buy from, right? So like many of the companies that are out there, they're building human brand, right? Like you look at Apple, for example, like Apple computers, right? So you have a Mac, right? Very lucky lady in the front. So people are building their brands to support the sales of their products. So the sales pro, now this is my background, so, and I'm gonna tell you, in anything that you do, whether you're looking for a job, you're an entrepreneur, you're an executive, you're always selling yourself, right? So this is good for anybody in the room. So social branding is building your brand up to a point where people start to get to know you. At the point that you sell is what we call conversion, right? So social selling is when you've done such a good job of building your brand, you've defined it, you've built your style, you've gotten out there, you've built an audience, you're nurturing that audience, and then what do? Now you're in the place where you can actually start to sell. Why? Because at the end of the day, your name should be selling for you. So this is social selling. It's really, really important. I do a lot of this training. There's many companies that are now investing in social sales training because it's so important today. Okay, the executive, right? So the number one reason people do business with you in general is what? They like you and they trust you. If somebody likes you but they don't trust you, or they trust you but they don't like you, they're not going to buy from you. This is life, right? So social branding for the executive is really about building credibility, okay? So when I look at executives and I work with executives, it's about taking their brand to the point of being a role model, okay? Because at the end of the day, that executive, whether it's Rob at Berkeley, you're in a leadership position, right, Rob? So what Rob needs to do is build up his credibility to the point so that he is an advocate. He's inspiring the people next to him to take the next step. The importance of style. So today, Tanya, I don't know if she's here yet, but so Tanya is a personal brand stylist, and she picked out my outfit today. Alyssa Peak there is a personal brand photographer. And so just some examples of the importance of your image, the importance of your style, not how much you look here, but also how you look online, right? So when I went shopping with Tanya, she said, what colors do you like? And we went through this whole color thing. And now if you look online, the colors that I use here are similar colors online. So when you think of like a Mark Zuckerberg, right? You're gonna know a pattern of his clothing, right? The way he looks, the way he takes his pictures, the way he does videos, right? So how you look both online and offline really defines your personal brand image. Images, photos, websites, social profiles. When you build your brand, okay, so first you have to define it. Once you've built it, okay, then you need to think of how am I going to display that brand. So that comes in many forms. It could be a website, right? These are a couple of our clients, right? Their websites. It could be your social profiles. It could be a video series, okay? So you've got to think about what you're going to do to show your brand once you've built it. Personal brand messaging, social brand messaging, really important. This happens all the time, right? This happens when you guys are talking to each other in the room. This happens when you're online. These are your posts, these are your videos, this is the social copy, this is everything, right? This messaging is very, very, very important. So here's some examples of some of my clients, just to show you that everyone, first of all, everybody's different, right? So you don't, God forbid, do not ever copy somebody's social brand style, because that's only a disservice to you. You really got to define what it is that you stand for and how you lead, and only then can you start to create this messaging that's in the sport. Like my client Tom Krause, he's a safety leader, right? Very different. Rod Cotton, right? He runs biotech at Roche Diagnostics. These are different people with different backgrounds, with different focuses, and they know who their audience is and they know how to talk to them, right? So you got to think about that. Okay, your niche. So you got to start by understanding how you're different, right? This is an old saying, but it is really, really true. Especially, there's a billion photographers out there. There's a million people that do what I do, but I don't care. Because I know that I'm me, right? You got to be really confident in how you are different before you start to build your social brand. So building it, as I mentioned, comes in many forms. This is just to give you some examples of some of the types of content that you can build to support your social brand. Whether it's a podcast, a video, articles, a blog post. And please do not do them all at once. I do digital marketing strategy. What you want to do is you want to think, okay, what resonates the best with my brand and what am I the most comfortable with, right? So I've done all of these things, okay? But I can tell you where I focus more now than when I did before, right? So I've written a bunch of books, nice articles, right? Done videos, podcasts. But my focus really is more in the one-on-one conversations, in the messaging and nurturing. So you got to kind of find your place once you trial these. And you'll find it, but it has to be consistent, it has to be done over time. The media benefits, there's multiple benefits to social branding, of course. But first and foremost, when we talked about the media, and as Peter Shankman is here today, right, is influential bloggers in the media will notice you if you've done a good job. Why? Because where is the media getting its media from? Anybody?
The media.
Twitter, right? LinkedIn. Okay, so, right, this is where they are. So if you've done a good job building your personal brand, again, I am a big believer in not doing hard work anymore. So no, I'm kidding, but I'm not. So the point is, if you've done really hard work, you want people to find you. You want somebody to call you up, and you want to say no to that story. Maybe you want to take another story instead. But you can only do that once you build your brand. But believe me, they're here. And these people are looking for the next big story. And the way that they work, and Tamsin Fidel is speaking today, she can tell you this, because I'm not on the news or anything, but is it's in real time. So if they have a story, they're like, cue me down to the station at 5 p.m. It's like that day, so it's very important. My favorite benefit of social branding is this, right? It's creating a strong position and winning online market share. What happens? You do something online. If you do a good job of something online, someone tells someone else, and then when they eventually call you or email you, right, it's because you've put something out that's worthy of sharing. Search visibility, okay, so I don't have any time to go through my search presentation, but basically, if you've done a good job putting your content out and nurturing others that are in similar networks, just as a very simple way of explaining this, you have the opportunity to be found online. For the entrepreneur, this is extremely important because this is where you're selling your products and services, right? So this is another benefit of social branding. Your social ecosystem, I went through this, right? Again, what I want you to take away from this morning presentation is that you want to think, well, what can I do with the social brand? At the end of the day, you want to be the person that people look to as a resource. And you've got to figure out what resource do you want to be and what benefits do you want that resource to drive to you. So you can do that by, again, building an ecosystem, by being the hub, by being a leader and educating others. At the end of the day, what's important, after you build this brand, because it takes money and it takes time and it takes effort, right? So what you want to do is you want to protect it. So how do you protect it? Well, you got to make sure that either yourself or maybe an agency or maybe somebody working for you is managing your brand so they know what's going on out there. You want to have guidelines about your brand. What can people say, what they can't say about you, all of those things. And you want to manage your own content or at least oversee it so you can make sure that that brand is consistent. Because I know with my CEO clients, a lot of them aren't producing their own content, so they have to provide the guidelines and they have to provide the approvals. So that's very, very important.